The boss offered 50 grand for my breast milk. I thought he was a freak wanting to take it home for a kid. That was until I saw him, body limp and weak, checking my milk like it was an elixir of life. Only then did I realize he needs human milk to survive. Later, the price tag hit $500,000. The catch, he wanted it straight from the source for the money. I said yes. Then came the day he asked for $5 million. Would you let me? My boss called me in. I was shaking, sweating, terrified he was going to fire me if I got canned. I was dead. Zero income back when I was pregnant with my daughter, Bella. My old company forced me to resign. The hospital bills and NICU costs wiped out what little savings I had tucked away. I was reduced to begging my husband, Travis, for cash. Every time I asked, it was a fight. He'd bitch about this, complain about that. Don't buy that. That's unnecessary. And finally, the classic line. I'm broke too, Chloe. Thank God my tits were heavy with milk. Could breastfeed, saving us on formula. But Bella's diapers cost money. Clothes cost money. Every onesie she owns is too tight now. Winter is coming to Chicago and she needs a coat. If luck hadn't landed me this job, my baby would be shivering in wet diapers. You don't need to be nervous, the boss said, sitting across from me. His voice was smooth, gentle. Mr. Sterling is 33 this year. He looks refined, scholarly, and harmless. The kind of guy you instinctively trust. I called you in for a personal matter. My shoulders dropped. I relaxed. Mr. Sterling gave me a slight smile. He's handsome, depressingly so. But what I envy more is the stench of old money on him. He's loaded. I wished I could be like him. God, I regret being so young and stupid. Marrying Travis. And popping out a kid before I knew how the world worked. Now my life is a misery and my child is suffering for it. Are you currently lactating? I want to buy some of your breast milk. Is that okay? Rest assured. I will pay. I naturally assumed he had a kid at home. Or maybe a friend's baby was starving and the mom ran dry. In our mommy groups, people ask for donor milk sometimes. Usually nobody charges for it. If you're leaking, you donate. So I said, Mr. Sterling, if you need it, you don't have to pay. Bella can't finish it all anyway. I usually just dump the extra down the sink. Mr. Sterling shook his head quickly. No. I don't like owing favors. Plus, I need a strict daily supply. If I don't pay you, I can't enforce my demands. Demands, okay? If money wasn't involved, demands would be rude. But with cash on the table, that changes things. I nodded. All right. But you don't need to pay too much. Just a token amount. Kissing the boss's ass seemed like a good insurance policy against getting fired. Mr. Sterling added me on Venmo and instantly zapped me $50,000. Holy shit. I stared at him in shock. That's way too much. He stopped me from protesting. Don't refuse. I have a lot of requirements. You passed your medical checks, so I know your milk is clean. Also, I have some intrusive requests, which is why the price is so high. Looking at that $50K, my heart ached. My bank account currently had $80 in it. I skipped lunch daily, surviving on the free crackers and stale coffee in the break room, just to save pennies. I was dirt poor. Because I was poor. Travis and his monster of a mother, Mrs. Higgins, treated me like garbage. And I couldn't dare divorce him. If I divorced him, they'd fight for custody. With no money, I'd lose Bella even if I won. I couldn't afford childcare, which meant relying on my mother-in-law to watch her. Leaving Travis meant renting my own place. More money I didn't have. I regretted being young and dumb. I jumped into marriage and motherhood blind. Now I was trapped in quicksand. But this $50K, this money, solved a huge chunk of my problems. Mr. Sterling laid out his rules. First, you need to pump here in my private office every day. Nowhere else. I need to ensure the milk is sterile and safe. That made sense. Rumor had it Sterling came from a billionaire family. Rich people are paranoid about getting poisoned. Second, to guarantee the nutritional value, you must eat 3 meals a day prepared by my personal chef. Wow. Rich people are difficult. But this was good for Bella's milk quality. Plus, eating dinner here meant I didn't have to go home and face Travis and the old hag for dinner. Win. Third, during the lactation contract period, I expect you to abstain from sexual intercourse. That was incredibly invasive. But the man gave me 50 grand. And honestly, the thought of Travis touching me made my skin crawl. Anyway, I nodded happily. I went to the boss's private lounge to pump. It was humiliating actually being in his private space, doing something so intimate. But once you become a mom, your sense of shame drops to the floor. For the money, for my daughter's future. I gritted my teeth and hooked up the suction cups. I walked out holding 2 bottles of warm milk. Face burning, I asked Mr. Sterling. All done, should I put these in the fridge for you? He didn't even look up. Just leave them on my desk. I'll handle it later. Dinner was served in his office. Rich, nutritious, and delicious. I pumped one more time, then clocked out to go home. First thing I did was transfer the cash to a secret account. I was terrified. Travis would see the notification I was going to divorce that loser. The water in my brain, the naivety that led me to marry him. I'd mostly drained away after the trauma of childbirth and poverty. But not yet. I needed to pass my probation period at work. I needed steady income. Mr. Sterling's 50K. I was my safety net. I also needed Bella to be a little older. Maybe old enough for daycare. Right now, I couldn't trust a stranger and I couldn't afford a nanny. So I had to wait. When I got home, my mother-in-law shoved the baby into my arms and left to go play bingo. Travis was sprawled on the couch playing on his phone. He didn't make much money back in the day. I hoped he'd help out around the house, but asked him to lift a finger and he'd scream that he was studying. He claimed he was studying for a government job to give us a better life. Ask him again and he'd get violent. Before I got pregnant, Travis waited on me hand and foot. He was patient. He did the laundry. Cooked, cleaned. He said he wanted to treat me like a delicate flower. He once saved 3 months of wages just to take me on a vacation. If I liked a purse, but said no because it was too expensive. He'd borrow money from friends to buy me the knockoff, just to see me smile. I thought that was love. I was willing to marry a broke man, as long as his heart was entirely mine. But the second the stick turned blue, he changed. No chores. No money. He started preaching frugality. If he'd shown his true colors earlier, I wouldn't have looked at him twice. I was in the bedroom nursing Bella, looking around the cramped, messy rental apartment. I felt lonely and hopeless. I couldn't imagine raising my daughter in this squalor. At night, the baby slept in the bed with us. Travis came over and started yanking at my pajama pants. Before he used to woo me. He made me feel cherished. Now I was just a wormhole to jerk off into. No foreplay, no love. I wasn't in the mood. He clicked his tongue, annoyed. It's been long enough. Doctors say we can fuck now. I pushed him away. In the struggle, I slapped him. Travis slapped me back hard. In the dark, we stared at each other, silence. He lunged for my clothes again. I grabbed my heavy phone and smashed it against his head. Travis flipped on the lights, roaring, "Chloe! Are you crazy, you bitch?" I was scared. He looked like a demon. The noise woke the baby. Bella started screaming. I picked her up to soothe her. Travis, blinded by rage, shoved me hard. I couldn't dodge. I fell backward, hugging Bella tight to shield her, hitting the floor hard. Luckily, I took the impact. I held Bella up so she wouldn't hit the ground. Mrs. Higgins burst into the room without asking a single question. She rushed over and slapped me across the face 3 times, screaming, "You useless cow making noise. Disrespecting my son. You want to die." I couldn't fight back. Bella was shrieking in terror. Travis stood there watching coldly as his mother beat me. After she finished, she spat venom at me. "Serve my son properly or I'll make you wish you were dead." "You're a married woman with a kid." "Now you're damaged goods, worthless." "You exist to serve my son like a horse or a cow." Then she turned to Travis. "Women need to be beaten. That's how they learn." "You were too soft on her before. Made her forget her place." Travis nodded. "I know, ma." "Take the kid." Mrs. Higgins lunged to snatch Bella. I knew what Travis wanted to do. He'd forced me before. He had said, "We're married. Stop acting like a nun. Even if I rape you, what are you gonna do? Call the cops? It's my right. I was shaking, trembling. I couldn't fight both of them. And I had the baby before I gave birth. They were just impatient. But now they were monsters. The door slammed shut behind Mrs. Higgins as she marched out with a screaming Bella. I was pinned to the mattress, Travis's weight a suffocating, sour-smelling mass above me. He looked at me not with passion, but with the cold, calculated cruelty of a man reclaiming a piece of property. "You think that job makes you special?" he hissed, his fingers digging into my shoulders. "You're just a faucet, Chloe. And everything that comes out of you belongs to me." I didn't cry. The tears had dried up somewhere between the second and third slap from his mother. Instead, a cold, hard knot formed in my gut. I remembered Mr. Sterling's voice. "I expect you to abstain from sexual intercourse." If Travis did this, I would lose the $50,000. I would lose the only ladder out of this pit. As Travis reached for the light, I didn't fight him with my hands. I fought him with the truth. "If you touch me," I said, my voice eerily calm, "I lose the bonus." $50,000, Travis. Cash. He froze. The greed in his eyes fought with his rage. It was the only thing that could stop him. "What bonus?" "My boss," I lied, or at least redirected the truth. "It's a health compliance contract. If I'm not pristine, the insurance for the company's high-level health program fails. They track everything. If you touch me tonight, you're flushing 50 grand down the toilet. Is your ego worth that much?" Travis stared at me, his breath hot on my face. Finally, he spat on the floor and rolled off. "You better not be lying. I want to see that money by Friday, or I'll take it out of your hide." I didn't sleep. I waited until the house fell into the heavy, rhythmic snoring of the two monsters in the other rooms. I crept into the kitchen, packed a small bag for Bella, and stared at my phone. The $50,000 was there, sitting in an account Travis didn't know existed. I couldn't run yet, not without a permanent plan. I needed to be a ghost. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. My face was swollen, a purplish bruise blooming across my cheekbone like a sick flower. I tried to cover it with foundation, but it was like trying to hide a fire with a lace curtain. When I entered Mr. Sterling's private office to deliver the morning's bottles, he was standing by the window. He looked thinner than yesterday, his skin a translucent, sickly ivory. He turned, and his eyes immediately locked onto my face. The scholarly and harmless man vanished. For a second, his eyes flashed with a predatory sharpness that made the hair on my neck stand up. "Who did that?" he asked. His voice wasn't gentle anymore. It was a low, vibrating hum. "I tripped," I muttered, setting the bottles on the desk. Mr. Sterling walked toward me. He didn't stop until he was inches away. He reached out, his fingers cold as ice, and tilted my chin up. "I don't pay $50,000 for damaged goods, Chloe. And I don't like it when people touch what I've invested in." He picked up one of the bottles, unscrewed the cap, and drank. He didn't use a glass. He downed it in 3 long, desperate gulps. As he did, I watched the color return to his face. The tremors in his hands stopped. It was like watching a dying battery hit a charging port. "Your husband," he said, wiping his lip. It wasn't a question. "He's a waste of skin." "I'm leaving him," I said, my voice trembling. "I just need time." "You don't have time," Sterling said. He sat back in his leather chair, looking at me with a terrifying intensity. "He's going to escalate. And you're going to lose your milk supply from the stress. I can't have that. My condition requires a certain level of purity and consistency." He leaned forward. $500,000, Chloe. Right now. In exchange, I provide you and your daughter with a secured residence. Bodyguards. A legal team that will strip that man of his parental rights before the sun sets. My heart hammered against my ribs. "What's the catch?" Sterling's gaze dropped to my chest. "The pumping process is inefficient. The plastic, the cooling, the reheating, it denatures the antibodies I need. If I'm going to pay for your life, I want it straight from the source. Twice a day. No bottles. No barriers." The room felt small. The air felt thick. He was asking me to be more than an employee, but less than a lover. I was to be his life support. $500,000? I whispered. "And your freedom," he added. "Think of Bella, Chloe. Do you want her to grow up in a house where slaps are the primary language? Or do you want her in a nursery with a view of the lake? I thought of the slap. I thought of the way Travis looked at me like a piece of meat. Then I looked at Mr. Sterling. He was a freak, a mystery, a man who drank human milk to keep his heart beating. But he was a man who asked. Yes, I said. The transition was violent and swift. That afternoon, 3 men in charcoal suits met me at my apartment. They didn't knock, they walked in with a court order and a level of aggression that turned Mrs. Higgins into a stuttering mess. Travis tried to swing at one of them. 2 minutes later, he was face down on the carpet with a knee in his back, being served with a restraining order that cited a litany of domestic abuse evidence I didn't even know Sterling's people had gathered. They took Bella. They took me. By nightfall, I was in a penthouse. It was a fortress of glass and marble. Bella had a room larger than our entire old apartment, filled with toys and a private nurse. But the payment began at 9:00 p.m. Mr. Sterling, Elias, he told me to call him, was waiting in the library. The lights were dimmed. He was wearing a silk robe, looking fragile again. The $500,000 had hit my account an hour ago. I felt like a mercenary. Sit, he said, gesturing to the chaise lounge. The shame I thought I'd lost during childbirth came roaring back, hot and suffocating. But then I remembered the bank balance. I remembered the silence of the penthouse, free from Travis's yelling. I unbuttoned my silk blouse. My breath hitched as Elias moved closer. He didn't touch my waist or my hips. He didn't look at me with lust. His focus was singular, biological. When he leaned in, I closed my eyes. It was a bizarre, quiet intimacy. There was no pain, only the strange sensation of life leaving my body to sustain his. He was greedy, his hands gripping the edge of the lounger as he drank. I felt like a goddess and a cow all at once. When he finished, he didn't pull away immediately. He rested his forehead against my skin, breathing deeply. You have no idea, he whispered, his voice sounding stronger, richer. The doctors call it a rare hematopoietic deficiency. My body destroys its own red blood cells. Nothing works, not transfusions, not synthetics. Only this. Only the white blood of a mother. He looked up at me. His eyes were clear, piercing. You're not just an employee, Chloe. You're my heartbeat. For the next month, I lived in a dream. I saw lawyers who told me Travis was being investigated for tax fraud and assault. I saw Bella thriving, her cheeks getting chubby, her laughter echoing through the halls. I ate the finest foods, my body transforming into a high-performance machine designed for one purpose. But the dream had a shadow. Travis didn't go away quietly. He began posting on social media, accusing a billionaire predator of kidnapping his wife and child. He found the mommy groups I used to frequent, spinning a tale of a poor father whose baby was being used for sick rituals. And Elias was changing. He was becoming obsessed. He didn't just want the milk twice a day anymore. He wanted me in the room while he slept. He wanted to hold my hand while I watched TV. The direct source sessions grew longer. He was getting stronger, but his mental grip seemed to be fraying. One night, he called me into the office. He looked frantic. $5 million, he said. He didn't even say hello. I want to buy the next 5 years. A total exclusivity contract. You, Bella, and me. We moved to the estate in Switzerland. No outside world. No Travis. No interference. $5 million? I stood frozen. Elias, I have a life. I have friends, family. You have a husband who is currently outside the building with a camera crew, Elias snapped, pointing to the security monitors. I looked. On the screen, Travis was there. He looked disheveled, wild-eyed, screaming at the intercom. Beside him was a lawyer I recognized from the local news, a bottom feeder who loved David versus Goliath cases. If you go back to the world, he will find you, Elias whispered, stepping into my space. He will take Bella to spite you. He will drain your bank account in legal fees. But if you come with me, you vanish. You become a Sterling. Protected. Forever. He touched my face. Would you let me? Would you let me save you forever? The choice was made for me. The elevator chimes echoed through the penthouse. My heart skipped. No one was supposed to have access. The door slid open, and Travis burst out. He was covered in sweat, holding a heavy wrench. Behind him, the security guard lay slumped in the elevator car. Travis had played the distraught father long enough to get someone to slip up. You whore. Travis roared, swinging the wrench at a glass sculpture, shattering it into 1,000 diamonds. I knew you were selling yourself. Using my kid to get to this freak. I ran toward Bella's room, but Travis was faster. He grabbed my hair, yanking me backward. I screamed as I hit the marble floor. Where is she? Travis hissed, standing over me. Where's my daughter? I'm taking her, and I'm taking every cent you've got. Get out. The voice was like a whip. Elias stood at the end of the hallway. He looked small compared to Travis, but there was something terrifying about his stillness. Travis laughed, hefting the wrench. Or what, Sparky? You gonna drink a glass of milk at me? You're a pale, weak little bitch. I'm taking what's mine. Travis lunged at Elias. I expected Elias to crumble. I expected the scholarly man to die. But Elias didn't move like a sick man. He moved with a terrifying, liquid speed. He dodged the wrench with a grace that was almost supernatural. He stepped into Travis's guard and delivered a strike to Travis's throat that sounded like a branch breaking. Travis collapsed, gagging. Elias didn't stop. He descended on him with a primal ferocity. He wasn't boxing, he was tearing. It was the strength of a man who had been fueled by the very essence of life for months. Elias, stop. I screamed, scrambling to my feet. Elias looked up. His face was splattered with Travis's blood. He looked like a monster. But when he saw me, his expression softened into something even more frightening, absolute, possessive love. He won't hurt you again, Elias said. He stood up, smoothing his hair as if he hadn't just nearly killed a man with his bare hands. Clean this up, he commanded the two bodyguards who finally rushed in. He walked over to me, stepping over Travis's unconscious body as if it were a rug. He took my shaking hands in his. The offer is now 10 million, Elias said softly. But we leave tonight. Travis stays alive, but he stays in a cage. My lawyers will ensure he spends the next decade in a state facility for the unprovoked attack on a private citizen. His mother will be evicted by morning. He leaned in, kissing the bruise on my cheek that was almost healed. I am the only one who can keep you safe, Chloe. I am the only one who truly needs you. I looked at the blood on the floor. I looked at the man who had bought my body, my milk, and now, my soul. I realized then that I hadn't traded a monster for a savior. I had traded a weak monster for a powerful one. But then, I heard Bella cry from the nursery. It was a small, hungry sound. I looked at Elias. I saw the 5 million, the 10 million. I saw a life where my daughter would never know the cold. I saw a life where I was the most precious thing in the world to a man who would kill to keep me. 10 million, I said, my voice as cold as the Chicago winter outside. And I want his mother to watch as the house is bulldozed. Elias smiled. It was the most beautiful, terrifying thing I had ever seen. Done. Epilogue, The White Queen. 6 months later. The Swiss Alps. The snow outside is white, just like the milk in the crystal glass on the table. I sit by the fireplace, draped in cashmere that costs more than Travis made in a year. Bella is sleeping in the arms of a world-class nanny in the next room. Elias enters. He looks younger now. Stronger. He looks like a god. He kneels before me, not as a boss, but as a devotee. I unwrap the silk of my gown. I don't feel shame anymore. I feel power. He is the billionaire. He owns the world. But I am the one who keeps him in it. Every drop he takes is a link in the chain that binds him to me. I am Chloe Sterling now. I am the source. And in this gilded fortress of ice and silence, I have finally learned how the world works. Money doesn't just buy things. It buys the right to be the one holding the leash. And I will never let go.